Why in the world would you want to live in San Francisco? San Francisco is a dense, busy, bustling city with the challenges and problems of many major cities. Much like New York City, Los Angeles, Portland, Seattle, San Francisco has all of the difficulties faced by urban areas today. High cost of living, crime, parking, traffic problems, and of course, homelessness. There's also a lot to love about living here. When deciding whether or not to move to San Francisco, here are 10 things that you should consider. Let's get right to it. Everyone has heard that San Francisco is full of crime and homelessness. Lately, when I'm traveling, people ask where I'm from, and when I say San Francisco, they say, oh my God, is it as bad as they say? So let's start with crime. You can't open up a newspaper without hearing that San Francisco is a super dangerous place, and you'd think that you're gonna get stabbed walking down the street. There is definitely crime in San Francisco. Smash and grab crime is actually at an all-time high. And one of the things that you learn very quickly living here is that you don't leave anything visible sitting in your car. In fact, sometimes whenever we're traveling out of town and we have stuff in the car, we wait to leave town before we stop and try to get something to eat if there's stuff in the car. Believe it or not, San Francisco actually has lower rates of violent crime than Houston, Seattle, Dallas, and New Orleans. So let's talk about homelessness. Homelessness in San Francisco is a real thing, as it is in a lot of cities, and a lot of it is actually tied to the drug crisis. Fentanyl is a real problem. There's actually been 845 deaths, which is the highest ever in San Francisco to date. But what I will say is that the city is working hard to try to solve this crisis, and all of the residents are definitely rooting for the city to get this under control. So though homelessness is definitely a problem, it is concentrated to some specific parts of San Francisco. I will say that if you want to live in a neighborhood where you don't actually see or experience a lot of homelessness, because it is concentrated to certain parts of the city, there are tons of neighborhoods available where it's not going to be part of your daily reality. So why does it cost so much to live here? So one thing is just the simple rule of supply and demand. So San Francisco is only 7 by 7. That's 7 miles by 7 miles. It's a pretty small city that actually is really, really densely populated. We also have politicians who want to have more housing, but at the same time, everybody wants the city to look a certain way. So there's a lot of historically protected buildings all over the place. Everybody loves the Victorians and the Edwardians, and they don't want to mix a bunch of skyscrapers in between them. So a lot of the city is actually capped in terms of how high you can build. So certain sections of San Francisco, you can build sky rises, but most of San Francisco, you cannot. The other thing is that, the housing stock is very different. So if you go to a place where there's suburbs, I don't know, let's pick on Dallas for a minute, a lot of the homes are probably the same. So maybe you could show up to a place like that and see 6 or 7 homes that are relatively the same and pick one. Here, if you were to see 6 or 7 homes in a certain price point, they would all be dramatically different in dramatically different neighborhoods. So additionally, there really is just a lot of cash running around in San Francisco. So San Francisco, including Silicon Valley, actually rates number 3 for most wealthiest cities in the world. I think according to a report I read, there was about 62 billionaires, that's with a B, that live in San Francisco. And there's about 600,000 people that are worth close to $100 million or above. When you're competing with a lot of cash offers and a lot of money and people that really have the means to drive up and get whatever they want, that's also going to raise the prices. Before we continue, if you're interested in learning more about San Francisco and what it's like to live here, make sure you subscribe to our channel. We talk to people just like you every day who are looking to make a move here. So give us a call or send us an email. We'd love to chat with you. So you're probably hearing that everyone is leaving San Francisco, and definitely it's true. San Francisco has lost about 7% of its population since the pandemic. There's a lot of people that moved out due to just being able to work from anywhere. There are some people who moved out based on taxes, especially very, very high income earners. But 7% isn't nearly as high as the headlines would make you believe is happening. Also, downtown is quieter than it's ever been before. It's emptier than it's ever been before. We're starting to see some people come back to the office. Finance has been back for a long time. Tech is slower to come back than we'd like to see, but it is happening. And I do think it's going to happen more and more. There's a lot of tech companies who are demanding that their people be in the office 3 to 4 days a week. The other thing that is happening downtown is that, with all of the vacancies come a lot of opportunity. Like a lot of the companies that were in these buildings, they built them out beautifully and they have great views in these big tall buildings of the bridge and the water and other buildings, and it's gorgeous down there and everything's on sale. So it's a great time to get a commercial space, and we're starting to see some AI companies specifically moving in downtown, and I think that it's gonna create space for some other businesses that wouldn't have afforded to be down there prior to be down there. So how's traffic? Be prepared to sit in traffic. It's a normal part of city living. Parking in San Francisco can also be a nightmare in certain neighborhoods. And if you're lucky enough to have a driveway or a designated parking spot, it's a total game changer. There is definitely a reason that Lyft and Uber are readily available here, not to mention the increasingly popular self-driving taxis. We also have many options for public transportation, and that allows people to move throughout the city with relative ease. We have bike lanes and car-free streets where many people enjoy using their bikes to get around town. Let's talk about weather. So San Francisco is not hot. If you're looking for heat, hot beaches, all of that stuff, then you're in the wrong spot. You need to go to Southern California. The average temperature in San Francisco year-round is right around 67 degrees, and there's definitely, some fog. There's a quote by, people say it's Mark Twain, but nobody really knows if it was Mark Twain, that says the coldest summer that I ever spent was my summer in San Francisco. It was probably a resident. Our best months for sun are actually September and October. I don't know why, but those are always the sunniest, best months. Winter times here, they can be sometimes wet, but really, this is California, we have droughts all the time. But if we're gonna get a lot of rain, it's usually gonna be in January. But if you do wanna have a hot summer day, you can jump in the car and drive 30 minutes to pretty much any direction, and it'll be really pretty nice and warm, and you can jump in the pool. All right, so let's talk about earthquakes. Clearly, we have a reputation for having a lot of earthquakes around here. We've had 2 major earthquakes. Obviously, there was the 1906 quake, and then in 1989, there was the Loma Prieta quake. We've learned a lot about earthquakes, and a lot of our housing stock was actually built prior to 1906 and is still standing. I'll be honest, I don't think a lot of residents spend a whole lot of time thinking about earthquakes. According to the US Geological Survey, there's a 63% chance that we will experience a quake 6.8 or higher over the next 30 years. And certainly we do have buyers who really want to talk about the structural integrity of homes, and there's varying degrees of structural integrity in homes, and we can walk you through that. Also, the land underneath the homes in San Francisco is different. Some of the land is in liquefaction, which tends to move a little bit more. We have a whole video on that. And some of it is on bedrock. And so depending on what kind of land that the home is sitting on, you may or may not want to buy that house, or you may want to look a little bit more into how structurally sound it is. So the next thing I'll talk about is something I'll call the grind. Sometimes living in San Francisco can feel a little bit more about work than it does about play or just unscheduled do-nothing time. Many people here work really long hours, and that can be ingrained in the culture and some of the companies based in the Bay Area. I think most people I know have jobs that they really love, and they do their best to integrate their work rather than balance it. This intensity is part of what actually initially attracted me to moving here, and has certainly propelled me ahead in a very rewarding career. But I have to admit, sometimes it's nice to get away from it all and decompress. And of course, you can decompress right here in the city. The Bay Area is more active than many places in the world. According to an article published in USA Today, San Francisco actually ranks 13 for the lowest obesity rate in the country. This is a super active place to live. Growing up in the Midwest, I thought if someone ran a marathon, they were like superhuman or something. Here in the Bay Area, the kinds of physical activities that your everyday Joe does is honestly like super mind-blowing. Lauren on my team, she actually ran 7 marathons on 7 continents in 7 days. I'll just let that sink in for a minute. Crazy, crazy, crazy. I know so many ultra marathoners. I didn't even know what that was prior to living here. I think it's like running 150 miles or something. So next up, hills. So San Francisco is really hilly. Whether you're driving or walking, you're gonna find yourself on some really steep hills. It can take a while to get used to this, which means that practicing, if you have a stick, driving your car, or building up those calf muscles is a must. I love hills. I walk up a mountain every single morning, but it's not for everyone. With steep hills come extraordinary views. There's no shortage of breathtaking views in the city, and they're usually on top of a hill. So you probably heard something about schools in San Francisco. Many people find our private and public schools difficult to navigate. Our public school admissions are determined by a lottery. Some people think that's awesome because they have a lot of choices, and other people find it a little crazy. Private schools require you to go through an application process. Both of these lottery application, they're really time consuming, and there's no guarantees that you'll end up in the right place or in your favorite place. However, there are a ton of different kinds of schools here, and there's a lot of options, and sometimes people really appreciate being able to find a school that's very tailored to their child and their needs. So to wrap all of this up, I came to San Francisco right out of college, and I was looking for a city with diversity and people who are open-minded, active, had a lot of entrepreneurial spirit, and I have to say I found all of that. I made it my home, I started my family, and I'm raising my 2 boys here. It can be challenging to live in a city like San Francisco, but if you're looking for a rich cultural experience, plenty of parks, and the opportunity to live in a world-class technology hub, it may just be the right place for you. Watch our neighborhood vlogs and see what area might be a fit for you. If you have questions, we want to be here for you. You can comment, email, or call us. Details are in the comments below. Whether you're considering a move to San Francisco or already live in the city, we'd love to be your go-to real estate resource.